very special guest tonight. Brother Arnold is here from the Sabbath Day Lake Shakers. When I started this knit along, I used the yarn from Sabbath Day Lake. Some folks were lucky enough to get the kits, which sold out quickly. And I thought it might be interesting to hear about where that yarn came from and how it's made and dyed and all that stuff. So, Brother Arnold, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's nice to see you all, and happy knitting. Shakers and sheep go way back, like to the very beginning. Those people who were pre-shaker shakers all had little bits of flocks and little bits of cattle around them at all times. By the time 1800 comes and we're a fully organized community, we have between 200 and 300 head running pretty much wild up on what we call Poland Hill. And they'd just be brought home in the wintertime. We had 3 barns for them. They'd be shorn in probably April and then sent back up. And there would be somebody who would go and check them occasionally, but basically they were on their own with watchdogs. In the 1860s, life had changed a great deal, and that was true for all of Maine. And we just followed the trend, and we were down to just a few sheep. And Elder Otis starts bemoaning this fact that this great estate of ours has only 3 sheep roaming on it. But, well, the thing is, you know, the wool industry had gone. I mean, the great flocks had moved on to the Midwest and further west, and so there was really no need, and there was really no market for us to be able to produce the wool that they would need. So we went into other things. And finally, long before 1900, there were no sheep left on the property. And the next sheep that was to arrive was in 1950, and his name was Star. And he was a pet for the girls. But he was a ram. And as a lamb, he was fine. But when he started not to be a lamb anymore, there was a problem. So when the girls were off at school one day, Star disappeared. Didn't have any more sheep on the property until 71, when Brother Ted, who is right above me up there, Brother Ted was really interested in the whole Back to the Earth movement and sort of cashing in on all of that. And he decided that we were going to have sheep. One thing Brother Ted had learned very early on in his career here was that you don't ask, you do it, and then you apologize, because there'd be too many naysayers. So suddenly appeared, oh, I should also mention Brother Ted was a classicist. So the names of the flock were very lofty. The first 2 were Paramus and Thisbe, and Demeter. And then Demeter's first lamb was Persephone. And we had Theseus, we had everything. Every possible Greek name, Latin name you can think of, were all in the flock. And when I came here in January of 1978, that one of my jobs, I was told, was I was going to be taking care of the sheep, which is fine, except I came from a rather large city where we didn't have any sheep at all. And I really didn't know what to do. And because we had very bad fencing, Paramus had been breaking out early on. And so by the beginning of February, we started having lambs. A whole new experience for me. And I think we had 28 ewes at that time. And the whole purpose of bringing them in was pasture management, and also that we would have yarn to sell. And we've always taken our yarn up to Bartlett Yarns in Harmony, which is the oldest continuously operating woolen mill in America. And they have the only spinning jennies left, which give an extra luster to their wool, the way that these jennies come out. There's a short video that you would be able to find on Bartlett Yarns, and I really suggest you look at that if you haven't either been there or seen the process, because it's really an amazing thing. And Lindsay Tice, who owns it, he does an incredible job of narrating it, and it's just some beautiful photography as well. So let's see, Brother Andrew and I brought 750 pounds of wool up to the mill this year to be made into yarn. Over the years, we've done some hand spinning and hand dyeing. We used to do a lot of that. We had workshops. We would have people come in to see how to shear the sheep and how to care for the fiber and how to clean it and process it and dye it, etc. But you know, that movement kind of died down by the 1980s and certainly by the 1990s, and now we're seeing an uptick. In fact, we reduced our flock when I was in charge of it. Back in the day, I think the most we had was 128 sheep. Then the wool subsidy disappeared, and we culled the flock down in half, and it kept going down. And through various things, we decided to stop lambing. It was just too difficult. You have to give, every 6 hours you have to be at the barn, 3 weeks when everything goes right. And the problem is that the way the sheep are being produced today, they're overbred, so that they do several things that are stupid, which is they dock tails too close, which cause a lot of prolapse. They all want bigger, so the moms can only do so much. And anyways, we finished doing lambing altogether. I think it was around 2000 we stopped doing it. And we mostly, just to have our flock grow, we accept culls. So there's a lot of kids who are going off to college who are 4-Hers and just can't stand to see Lammy go off on the meat truck. And we have a no-kill situation, so they come here and they're safe, and we keep them for their wool, and we keep them as long as they can possibly live. So we had, what do we have? We had about 60. Yeah, we had about 60, but a lot of our sheep are elderly because of that situation. So we're facing really a situation where the population in the land and our flock was going to be going downhill considerably in the next, say, 2 or 3 years. Well, we don't have to worry about that anymore, because we were given a ram lamb last year who was neutered but was acting up too aggressively for this woman and her kids. So she heard about us and we took him, and his name is Will. That fits him, a will in a way. And it turned out that he had been banded, but one of his testicles hadn't descended. So he was still fertile. And he was aggressive, and that was noted, but we didn't realize, and we were trimming nails, and when Michael had the sheep up in the chair, he said, you know, this doesn't look right. And sure enough, it was pregnant. We had to have the whole flock had to be ultrasound, and found out that he had impregnated 18 of the ewes. They could also remember ewes weren't supposed to get pregnant. That's why we had them. They had problems. So this really caused a lot of concern, and it went on for 5 of the longest months of my life. We ended up having 28 lambs, and we have presently 21. We had 7 die. And anyways, they're delightful, and we now know we don't have to be looking for any new lambs at all for a long time. We've got plenty of them. And oddly, although he was a really kind of creepy little ram, he threw some beauties, and also the wool quality is just off the charts. So we're going to have quite a bit of really, really good fleeces this next year, and I think a lot of the lamb's fleeces will go up to be just for hand spinners, because they're that good quality. And of course, the first year is the best year they'll ever produce too. So we ended up having 8 bottle lambs. We're down to just 2 that we're feeding now, because those were born into July. And they're getting slowly weaned, so that by December 17th anyways, they're supposed to be weaned. So we'll see.
That is quite an adventure.
Quite an adventure.
Are they all different, because you took in sheep in need of home? Are they all different breeds, or do you tend to get all one kind of? Oh, nay. And Will himself was God knows what. They had no idea, but he's obviously 2 or 3 different kinds put together himself. So we have a Katahdin, we have North Country Cheviot, we have a lot of Romneys. That's actually what we wanted and what we had, but we were also given Romneys. And then we were also given some South Downs and South Down crosses. What else do we have? We have a Dorset, we have, looking at faces here, some mongrels. Oh, we have Shetlands, Icelandic, Gotlands, Finns, and we had quadruplets out of one of the Finns. No surprise there. Yeah, I think that's about it. Wow. And do you guys do your own shearing, or do you have a shearer that comes?
We hire a shearer. Yeah, it's nothing any of us are interested in. This was a real challenge this year. We first of all had to put it off because he wasn't doing it because of COVID, and then finally he did. Well, we had 60 something sheep, and the idea is we get them, crunch them down, keep them, and then we drag them out of the pen and bring them over to him to shear. Well, he didn't want any contact at all. So we had to keep crunching him down, and so that he could just reach in and grab one, do it. Then he'd step away, we'd get the wool, clean up the area and do it again. So it took forever. I mean, I don't think we finished until 6. Oh, yeah, that was a great adventure. That's right. Took to 6 o'clock at night. We stunk. It was a bad day anyways. And we got in here, just barely did we get ourselves cleaned up, and the pump went in the well. And we were 4 days without water thereafter. So at least thank God we did it. We got that off of us.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think being a shearer must be one of those professions that if you're hardy enough would be good to get into. I can't think there are too many of them.
Not really. There is increasing numbers here in Maine, though. I think because we're seeing a resurgence in the sheep. I mean, Maine's a really good place to raise sheep because they don't require good land. And you just got to manage to let them forage. There's a lot of people who now put them out on islands for the summer and then cart them back and forth to the mainland for the winter. An old shearer of ours was Peter Haggerty, is somebody who really started that going. And anyways, but so he does, oh my goodness, though, but our shearer, Jeff, does, I don't know, 120 different flocks. So he's all over the place. Although most of the flocks now are smaller. They're like 10, 6 to 10 he's doing.
How do you go about, you guys have such beautiful colors. Do you dye them, or does the spinnery take care of that?
The spinnery takes care of that. We do some hand dyeing now, even so in smaller amounts. Didn't have time this last year, but we've got some beautiful butternut trees that give off some incredible brown. And we've got a lot of different things we use, like sumac bark for yellow and all these other things that we use. So we have it available sometimes, depending on if we've got the time to do it or not.
Neat. Do you have resources in your archives that sort of give you recipes of what to use, or?
Well, yay. As a matter of fact, we do.
Do you?
We do. And also I had a printing intern here a number of years ago, and he and I, one summer's project was we dyed, and also we did a book. It was Sister Mary Ann Hill's dye book. And so we followed her recipes, used her stuff, and then we dyed the yarn. And as part of the book, we have little samples of the yarn colors in it.
Oh, neat.
I think Old Chatham has a copy, don't you, Jerry?
Absolutely.
Yes.
A couple of them.
He's
Good.
hiding it from me, clearly. I need that.
I forgot about it. It'll be on your desk on Monday morning.
Awesome. Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions or thoughts?